this is something that I want to definitely take a look at, especially out of the first round, because there's a lot of good guys in this mix, not just the ones that we're talking about right now. A lot of guys in this mix that could really help out some of these teams. All of our teams, I think, are missing like a piece or two. We're missing about 3 or 4, but I think we got some good free agent signings this year. So we talked about the top guys, and I think for the most part, it's pretty similar. I'm looking at, so I want to go to sleepers, but before I do that, you talked about Cody Mauch being your 7. You know, who is your number 6? Because there's another guy that I see is right outside the top 5, and I kind of want to see where your head is at.
To me, it's Darnell Wright currently.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Kind of 6, 7, and 8. I really went back and forth between Wright, Cody Mauch, and Jalen Duncan from Maryland. Those 3, I'm very high on all 3 of them. So to me, it wound up today as Wright, Mauch, and then Duncan. Those are guys that all 3 could sneak into the first round.
Yeah,
I think it's very realistic. I think they all end up being second round picks though. But yeah, they're all sneaky picks to go first round.
I mean, look, Darnell Wright, he has the size. And obviously we all got, awestruck by Hendon Hooker doing his thing, and they're being undefeated, and Jalen Hyatt having the 5-touchdown game against Bama and everything.
Yep.
And so you kind of overlook our Darnell Wright. But if you're in person, you can't overlook the man because the man is 6'6", over 330 pounds. So you ain't getting around that. But I mean, look, this guy, he's got wheels for he ran a 5-second, a 5-second 40, which is great for a man his size. And then you're talking, I mentioned the other stat about guy had over 420, pass protection snaps and only had a knockdown. This guy had 0 sacks on over 400 pass protections. I mean, these are the guys that, they might not get all the name recognition, but watch out, especially Darnell Wright out of Tennessee.
Yep. Well, and we just talked about how everyone was awestruck about Hendon Hooker against Alabama. Did anyone else notice that Will Anderson was not to be seen that game?
Woo!
And who was he going up against? Mr. Wright.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, all day. So, hey, that is something to really see. And see, that's why you got to look at the Broderick Jones, and you got to look at some of these guys, in Darnell Wright, some of these guys in the SEC, because it's not just how good they're playing, it's who they're doing it against.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And similar to the Paris Johnsons. You talk about him going against Aiden Hutchinson last year. We know Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, he was in the Heisman finalist. You know what I mean? For an edge rusher is almost unheard of these days. So, I mean, you got somebody going toe-to-toe with him. He's getting ready for the big league. So I'm excited about that. I'm with you. For me, the only one that I think drops a little bit more, and it's just because of the fact that it was kind of Oklahoma and they do run that air raid, is the guy you talked about. Anton
Harrison,
Harrison. You know what I mean? I love his size, love everything about it, but I just
need to see him as a run blocker. Absolutely.
Right. So then I really want to kind of not temper my expectations, but I just want to see where he lands and where he kind of fits in and where he goes from there.
Absolutely.
But let's move down the list. Let's move to our sleepers. Let's move to the guys that maybe, I mean, who knows if people are really talking about these 5 guys outside of, the top 3. Yeah. What are the names that are going to seriously contribute to teams, but nobody's going to know their name until maybe draft day?
To me, I got 3 that I'm looking at. One from my school, one's from yours.
Okay.
So I'll start with yours. I think I'm saying his name right, Asim Richards.
Yep.
Yeah. I really like what I've seen from him. He's probably going to go, he's definitely a day 3 guy, like 5th, 6th, 7th round prospect right now is what most people are saying. But he's got sneaky potential. I really like what I see in him. I think you could develop him. You could start him out at that 7th tackle, that 7th lineman, swing lineman. When you bring out the 2 tight ends, the 2 offensive linemen playing tight end, like your heavy sets. He could be that swing tackle for you right off the bat. I really like the idea of that for him. Ryan Hayes for me, the Michigan guy. He's another probably 4th, 5th, 6th round guy. And I love what he brings to the table. Very like elite level run blocker, solid in pass pro, not great, but he's good. Again, it's just footwork and hands that most of these guys, if they're not great at it or good at it, just need to work on. But again, he went against top tier edge rushers, JT Tuimoloau, Zach Harrison. I mean, he's a senior, so he's gone against all these guys that have come and gone in the Big Ten. I mean, he played against Georgia last year, so he's played top tier talent. 5th round guy. I think he could fight for a starting role later into his rookie season, but could be a solid starter down the road. And then my last one, Zion Nelson from Miami.
Okay.
He's my sleeper Anton Harrison. The guy is a phenomenal pass blocker. Didn't do much in the run game, though. Have a good night, Johnny. Okay. But he's probably 3rd, 4th, 5th rounder. But I think, again, if he goes to a Kansas City, like a pass-heavy offense, you're laughing right away. He could start. And he's got all the makings of a elite pass-blocking left tackle. Like, that's a guy late day 2, early day 3 who could be your starting left tackle, which is very hard to find. So he's definitely a guy I would keep my eye on.
Okay. Now, I there is a name that's been rising up the list, but he's still kind of a sleeper in my opinion. From your neck of the woods in Canada, what's this guy? Matthew Bergeron at Syracuse.
Yep,
6'5", 327.
Very solid. See, he's not in my sleepers because he's still in my top 10 tackles.
See, that's the thing. See, that's where it was. That's where I was kind of like, after you get to 8, I still got a couple guys, and he's definitely one that's been moving up for me, where it was kind of like, I don't want to say sleeper, but I definitely, there are a couple guys that are ahead of him for sure, but he's definitely up there. And the fact that, I mean, obviously we talk about size with all these guys, but a lot of people, don't really watch Syracuse. We focused on them because of Sean Tucker and DeVito and how they've done in the last couple of years. I know DeVito left, but this is one of the unsung heroes on that team. A force. Obviously, I think he's going to go later, probably 5th, 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, depending on where. And
he might go higher than that.
You think
he might be he might be a day 2 pick.
Really?
I'd take him in the 3rd round personally. I would.
It definitely depends on the need. I think with Kansas City, honestly, I think is going to search for that a little bit. They Andrew Wiley, who played for them in the Super Bowl, he's now playing for Washington. We signed him as our right tackle. So, they're going to
their offensive line took a hit this offseason.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown is in Cincinnati.
Come on. One solid quarterback to another. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, and so that's the thing. KC is definitely going to be looking, in my opinion, for a line to protect their investment, for lack of a better phrase. But yeah, I'm all about that one. Is there anybody else that you've looked at as sleeper? This is your neck of the woods.
It's okay. I'll say one that most people have as a sleeper. And he'll go 3rd, 4th, 5th round, but I'm kind of losing interest on, as I said before, that's Blake Freeland.
Okay.
To me, he doesn't move well. He played well as a left tackle this year after transitioning from right tackle. But just the way he got manhandled at the Senior Bowl did not look good. He tested well at the Combine. Looked okay in the drills, not great. But yeah, I can't get over how bad he looked at the Senior Bowl. And it was day in and day out. One-on-ones, which, yes, are typically set for a defender to win. But when you get manhandled rep after rep after rep, as a guy that played offensive line for 13 years, I can't overlook that. You gotta at least be close on some of these.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. So
that's no good.
He's got the makings of a good tackle in the NFL, a guy that could potentially start a couple years down the road. But he's a guy I'm losing interest on fast. I gotta go back and watch some tape on him to see if I'm in or out on him, but now it's more out than in.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, because we have talked about a lot of guys, and most of these guys are from bigger name schools that have to play 5-star edge rushers and D tackles and everything like that. What about some of these guys that maybe haven't gone to one of the bigger name schools and have had somewhat success? I mean, you look at guys like, Mason Brooks out of Ole Miss, or Carter Warren out of Pittsburgh, or even Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, guys that nobody knows their name as much. But I mean, they still have the size, and on paper, it looks like they can help. I know Carter Warren out of Pittsburgh, he's a swing tackle. He could play left or right. So those are good qualities, and teams need them. But at the same time, there's a reason why you're not at the top tier. Is it just because they went to maybe I don't want to call it Pittsburgh a smaller school, but they're not the likes of a Georgia or Ohio
It's
State
not known for offensive linemen or
right.
And that's mainly what it is some of these schools, your Michigans, your Georgias, your Alabamas, Ohio State, these top tier schools are known for pumping out NFL offensive linemen year after year after year.
Yep.
So, I mean, a prime example of that doesn't get known for many other positions, Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa is known for pumping out offensive linemen.
Corn-fed white
boys. They don't give much else. Wisconsin's the same thing. Offensive linemen and edge rushers, and that's about it.
Yes.
They
steal coaches too. Damn you, Wisconsin. Damn you, Longo.
So you still get quality players from these other schools. Yeah. And I think those guys, they'll go 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe undrafted. But they'll be guys that, especially if they're undrafted, they'll make a roster. You maybe see them on the practice roster to start, but then eventually they're going to make that 53-man roster and play some quality time in the NFL. These are guys that, I mean, we talk about how there's 2 elite guys, 3 or 4 really good guys, and then it drops again. It's still, we're going to get to the point where later in the draft is still solid guys that could make a name for themselves in this league. It's just guys that might have to take a stop or two to really find their home and find out where they really mesh. But there's a lot of solid tackles.
Yeah, and I'm interested in seeing this, man. Obviously, with the pro day and everything, we got to see what they bring to that table. But a lot of it is looking at film. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Scott Taylor said first.
I
think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's just like with the quarterbacks. It really is a lot about the system. It's a lot about where you end up. You know what I mean? You might end up in a place that's really going to hell in a handbasket, and then it's just like it doesn't matter how good you are. It's just not going to work in that system as opposed to a team that's on the rise. So,
well, we said this exact thing last week.
Yeah,
it's you could be the most talented player in the world, but if you don't go to the right scheme, if you don't go to a place where you're going to be smart off the field, where you're going to put in that work and watch the film and lift the weights and get bigger, stronger, faster. And if you're not surrounded by the right people, if you're not there's so many factors that don't even relate to football,
right,
that determine whether or not you're going to be a good NFL player. It's insane.
Yeah. So Scott, we see you in here, man. I know your Rams, they're gonna need
they could use some offensive linemen.
Yeah, about to say, especially at tackle. So definitely look into this coming into the draft. Man, this is the offensive tackle. I mean, everybody knows it's got glorified from the movie Blind Side. Obviously, that was that talk about Michael Orr, who longtime Raven, and he went around the league. Mm-hmm. And it came from the first video or image in that movie was LT coming around the corner on my guy Joe Jacoby and breaking Joe Theismann's leg. So it is absolutely a necessity to fill this position. Washington had it for years. Recently with Trent Williams, obviously we effed that up with this whole medical situation, among other things, a la Dan Snyder. But these are the type of guys. Him, you talk about Penei Sewell with you guys. These are the type of guys that are team culture, franchise changers. Okay, that you can literally get him and get on board. And even if you get a guy next to him that's not as good, his play will assist them. He will maybe hide some of their weaknesses. He said, looking forward to 2024. We can trade our first round. Yeah.
I was surprised they didn't trade it with Jalen Ramsey.
About to say.
They already got screwed hard enough in that trade. But
right. How you feeling about that, Scott? We're going to talk corners in a couple weeks, man. I think you're in need of that too.
Yeah. They're in need of a lot of things right now, which
quite
the fall from grace.
Oh yeah. But you got your ring. I mean, you got your Super Bowl ring.
It was all worth it, actually.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.